Hi, thanks for joining me for a great episode of Women in Power. I'm here with Zoe Bedford. She is the co-founder of Entrepreneur MD. And tell me a little bit about what that company is so our audience understands what that actually means.
Absolutely. It's a human performance system, essentially. It's virtual. And you know this. Successful entrepreneurs, professional executives, sometimes, well, a lot of times while they're growing their wealth and they're focused on their business and they're implementing all of these systems, tactics, and their mindset is there, they a lot of times let their health slip. So my co-founder, Dr. David Carley, he's an MD, and he's really focused on the aspect of you gotta optimize your health and everything that goes with that, because in his field in orthopedics and regenerative medicine, he sees all those unhealthy, wealthy individuals.
Yeah, and do you think the reason is because they're so busy being entrepreneurial and putting so much time into their work that the excuse is they don't have time?
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing that we addressed. I mean, that's physically what the system addresses virtually. Mm-hmm. They don't have to think about anything, they just have to do the work, which then applies to the same thing with their wealth and creating their business.
Right.
If they don't do the work, the business doesn't thrive, it doesn't grow, it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't scale. So it's one of those things where time is probably the primary excuse. And it is an excuse. And I say excuse
because if you do look at Jeff Bezos in his earlier years, he was kind of skinny, kind of geeky looking, if that's not offensive to anybody. And now he has made it a priority. And if the founder of Amazon can make it a priority, I mean, look how he looks in shape now, he looks fit, he looks better than ever. So, I mean,
well, to that point, exactly, is a lot of times they get to a place in their life where they're 45, 50, 55, they're achieving the next step, they're in the next level, and then all of a sudden they're like, wow, my body hurts.
Yes.
My knees are breaking down, my shoulder, my injuries from when I was in high school and college, and it's, oh my gosh, it's wreaking havoc on my body. And so then
they
all
have
of a sudden,
no choice.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, that's the wrong time to start addressing it.
Yeah.
You should be more preemptive. You should be focusing and be more prepared in that same way that you are in your business. So it's like the business athlete. It should be like the health athlete as well.
Well, I was never a fitness girl. The only machine I'm comfortable in, like most people I think that aren't fitness people in a gym, is the cardio machines. Because I can just get on and just be on a treadmill, move my feet and press a button. Weights, I don't know what the form is. They intimidate me. I don't like it. I quit as soon as it hurts. So I really needed to hire someone to get me that way. But my point is now in the last year, within the last year, I've actually confronted this area of my life, and I think to myself, why didn't I do this so many years ago? Because it gives me this mental clarity, this mental strength, and I feel like the hours that I do put into work they're just more potent, or like I don't need the 10 hours. I can do the workout and get the exact same work, or maybe even more, in less, because of the mental clarity, the confidence I have in myself now, the strength, you know. So it's weird because it's almost like a catch-22. You think you don't have time to do it, but then you add it into your life, and it also makes you more productive, right?
And that's why it's called a human performance system and program, because exactly what you said, most people are in the mindset, gotta work. But then what happens? They work, they get home, and what are they? Tired. And then you have kiddos, and you have significant others. Yes, and I know you running around chasing all the, and then think about it, you have 3 kids, and they're all going in different directions, and you're trying to keep up. So it's really a performance. That's what we're focused on, is optimizing your ability to perform better in the area in which you're really trying to level up and achieve, which is create your wealth.
So if there's any women or even men out there.
That's a favorite topic for me.
I love that too. But if they're out there right now and they're maybe in the beginning phase of their entrepreneurial aspects of their business, and all of their money is going towards the business, and they don't have the finances to hire a personal trainer. Like, I couldn't do it without a personal trainer, but if I didn't have the funds, chances are I'd be back in the gym just doing my cardio. So what can somebody do that's at that level that doesn't have the money to hire a trainer? Like, how do they get motivated or build up the courage to not be intimidated? Like, where do they do? I'm at ground zero.
So I think there's two parts to that. One is from the medical side of things, is what truly does your health cost you? Think about it. Like, if you don't invest now, even if it's a gym membership that costs less than $50 and then doing a virtual system and program like this, it tells you exactly what to do.
Oh, so you have the virtual system where they can just log on.
Yep. And then it's also a mindset training too, like thinking about it. What do you and Grant do for your entire followership and crowd? What are you guys trying to do?
Yeah, be obsessed.
You're trying to get people to shift in that mindset where
not
it
be average.
Yeah, you got to think like this. What are your goals and what do you want to achieve? So again, it's the cost of health, because think about it. Remember how I was saying you had some injuries when you were in high school or college, or you started aching? Well, that has to be treated later. And a lot of times sometimes it's not fixable, and then you're really just treating the symptoms. You're not at that point actually solving the problem. You're treating the problem after it's exacerbated. And then the other thing you said was, I don't know what to do. I go in there. I'm comfortable on the treadmill. And
I'm not uncomfortable being in front of a gym where there's other people.
And they're looking at you.
Yeah, and they're not really, because they're all looking at themselves. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, what am I doing here? I feel like a
just
dum-dum, you know?
And so that's the other, so I said there's two parts. That's the other part, which is, one, it's time consuming when you go in there and you're like, I don't know what to do. Then what you ultimately shift and start thinking is, since I don't know what to do, I think it's a waste of time. And you make excuses to then say, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I'm really focused on something else. And so that's the point of the virtual system, is we can help you shift your mindset. We have a lot of training on that. And then in conjunction with, hey, I'm gonna work legs today. Boom, we have a phase 1 training program, we have a phase 2, we have a phase 3. It tells you exactly what to do to decrease what you said. I'm intimidated. And then also, hopefully, what we're really trying to push is a movement to stop saying you don't have time. Because
you create time.
Exactly. Then that's everything. Everyone has time. Everybody has the same amount of time. Isn't it not what you do with that time to then have the outcome that you want?
Yeah. When you learn how to control time and you can do what you say when you say, that's when the world, and I think the universe, starts listening to you and things start happening around you a lot easier, and you become less victim of things happening to you all the time.
Absolutely.
So I love the little steps thing. I also like what you just said that made me have this idea that the people that come up with the excuse of the time or the money, if you really start to look at yourself and your self-improvement, which I've been on a self-improvement quest for years. Once you get on that treadmill, you never come off. There is no, you reach, like, you're perfect. I mean, it's just never gonna happen.
No.
But I like if you take the mindset that you are your business, and even though it might not translate to, I'm a dentist, but if you take care of your business as yourself, you'll in some way be a better dentist.
Absolutely. So now you just drew this over here and there, and it's just cyclic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one and then the other, and that's why I said you're a health athlete and you're a business athlete. Athletes focus. They're super tunneled. They want to level up. They want to get better. They're not just, hey, I got to the point where I'm professional. I'm on an NFL team.
Right.
And then they're
no,
just
they
like,
work. They practiced.
That's it. I made it.
Yeah.
No, otherwise they're like, sorry, you're on the bench and then you're gone. So it's that same consistency. But the other big thing is listen, when your inspiration decreases, when your motivation decreases, that's when a lot of people are like, oh, I just can't do it. If you make it a habit, it's the same thing. If you start making your business tactics and the routines that you're creating, all of a sudden it becomes a habit. It's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah,
I hope the majority of you wake up and you're like half asleep and you're brushing your teeth, so it's a habit. For me, like, basic habits are how I start my day. I always make my bed. It's the first thing that I do.
Did you read that book?
It's a little win.
Admiral McGreary. No, I'm saying it wrong.
Is he?
Did you read this book called Make Your Bed?
Oh no, I didn't know.
Oh, you have to read it.
But I've seen a couple YouTube things that went viral too, and
that's him.
Oh, is that him?
That's
okay,
him. He wrote
awesome.
a book.
Okay,
read
cool.
the book.
I didn't know that. Okay. But it's, I mean, since I was a kid, it was one of those things. You do not come out of your room until your bed is made. And then my better half, Dr. Carly, always says this. You achieve little wins.
That's right.
Little wins surmount to a big win.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
help you achieve your goals.
That's
and
right.
so, like what GC and what you guys say and teach is, you need to be obsessed, and then you need to not stop. And a lot of that relies on goals or on habits.
Right. Your purpose, and then keeping your discipline in to do it whether you want to or not.
Yep.
But have you always been this way? And if you weren't, what was the changing point that led, you know? Because there might be some people out there going, like me, like, do I have to hit this rock bottom place before I get myself into the gym?
Right. I mean,
or they're looking for that inspiration.
I think it can go both ways. I mean, we've talked about this in business, and it's in all the books where people get to the rock bottom spot and they're like, I can't tolerate this anymore.
Yes.
I want more. So that's one thing where you get to a place in your life where you're like, no, this isn't what I was meant to be, or I know I'm capable of more, and then you go figure it out. Like, let's be realistic. We've all read books. We've all encountered people that had $0. They found somebody to invest.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
I thought you were going to say they found, their product. Anyway, go ahead.
But there's plenty of companies that didn't have any money, so that's not an excuse either, because there's plenty of money. There's plenty of money out there, lots of it.
Yeah.
And if a bank won't give it to you, maybe some family members will.
Or learn how to sell, and learn how to sell someone on the idea, or put in the sweat equity, or get on the phone and sell your product.
And a lot of times they're told no 2 or 3 times.
And they quit. I don't like being told no either. I want to win.
Yeah, so then you got to get through the no's.
Grant is the type of person who the more no's he can push through, I really have to push through when I get told no. And I don't like that about myself. Grant uses haters
as the inspiration.
As the fuel. I don't like haters. I do not like haters. The only thing I like haters and the enemies for is they actually fortify me more to Grant. Because now I have a common enemy. But they don't fuel me. What fuels me, I guess there are a few different types of people out there, but what fuels me is that positive reinforcement, and when people tell me, you helped change my life, you did this, that fuels me.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of things there, but I think the bigger thing that you had asked is, have I always been like that? And
yes.
I yes and no. I think there were struggles and hardships that I went through when I was younger, and I was not a good communicator. And I believe so much in communication because I think there's 2 issues that cause struggles and everything, whether it's a relationship, whether it's in your faith, whether it's in your business, whether it's in anything. It's finances and it's communication. Because if you're not talking about whatever it is to your business partner, to your team, to your spouse, if you're not on the same page, you're in 2 different books. I mean, where are you going then?
Right.
So I think that's one thing which I was terrible at. I mean, I could not address even my parents, whom you're supposed to be relatively comfortable with.
Why? Because you just couldn't confront the conversation?
I didn't know how to. Like a lot of excuses that people make is, I don't know how to start a business. I don't know how to create an LLC.
Right.
Google. That's easy now.
That's step 1. Okay.
Right, Google. But for me, it was a decision that I made.
I just wrote that. Decide.
I did. I decided, and that's actually one of our core values in Entrepreneur MD is you have to decide. Either if it's rock bottom that makes you decide, or you're uber successful, but at one point you look at yourself and say, where did this 10, 20, 30 extra pounds come from?
Yeah.
And then that leads to confidence.
Right.
So if you feel better about yourself, do you present better?
Yes.
Do you look better in your suit?
Yes.
Are you like, I got this. You can
Yes.
power through the nose.
Yes.
Those kinds of things. So I think those are achieved. I don't think that that's just like you're born into it. Because for me, communication was a no-go. I mean, I would literally
And so how did you
cry.
get better at communicating? What did you do?
I decided, and then really I started reading books, and then I started calling and talking to my parents. So I started initiating the conversation rather than being talked to. And literally, I had to have a Kleenex box, and I'm like snot dripping down my face. I mean, it was so hard.
Yeah.
But I think once I got better, I was like, like you said,
it became easier.
It did. It became way easier, and I not found more success. More success found me. So, like, I remember getting out of the military, which I failed at, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You failed it?
Oh
what
yeah,
do you
totally.
mean?
I couldn't get everything together.
While you were in the military?
While I was in the military. No, nothing bad. It was
Okay.
just more along that lines of I could fly really well. I'm very tactile.
Okay, so what did you do in the military, so we're all clear here?
Well, I was supposed to fly planes, but that didn't work out so well.
Okay, why not?
Academically, I just couldn't bring it all together.
Oh, gosh,
I couldn't
okay.
take these kinds of tests. And then here's where you're talking about rock bottom. I could do the actual physical part of it. That's
Of course.
never been a
Yes,
challenge for
yes,
me. Like,
yes.
I'm like, okay, this puzzle has these pieces. They need to go together in order to make the whole. But for me, I'd walk into that room and I'm like
I
freaking
hated
out.
test.
And I'm anxious, and then
Me
I
too.
couldn't focus. So I can understand that
Me
if
too.
people are trying to start a business, and then all of a sudden that mental piece kicks in.
Yep.
So one of the things you said is, how did I get past that? What did I do? And it was really just it. I mean,
Doing
really,
it.
it started with the decision,
Decision.
and then it started getting through it, and then it was becoming a habit, and then I got better, and I actually enjoyed conversation because I am this. I don't like drama.
Me either.
So
Me
that's,
either.
I have to check out of that. If you create drama, I was gonna almost throw the finger, but I'm like, peace.
Yeah, me too.
So I've already, I could already do that. I could already weed through the things that weren't helping to make me better. But as soon as I decided about the communication piece, then I got rid of some of the people that were distracting me. And then I really just said, okay, I don't know how to really start this. So let me start with people that I should be really comfortable
Right.
with. My dad and my mom. So, and in that, and actually it's
And
my
you
stepmom,
practiced.
but
You used
I
them
did.
as a live demonstration, a live practical.
Yep, and
That's
it was
great.
really hard because
was
I was
hard.
blowing snot and tears and all that stuff. But they were patient, and they taught me how to ask questions better, which we know if you really want to get the answer, you need to figure out how to ask the question.
it to where it doesn't sound like you're just doing a constant make wrong.
Practice.
Yes.
So I don't know anybody that's amazing at anything the first time they do it.
Right.
So-
And I think a lot of people have trouble, or maybe it's just me because I understand this, but I have trouble with the ask. Or like, okay, or negotiating prices or this or that, or even asking for a price. But all that stuff comes with just practicing little by little by little, and then you get more comfortable. And, you know,
Ask.
and the more you do it, the more you empower yourself.
Well, and then too, you already said it, the more things come into your life or the more opportunities that are right there in front of you. And now, if you can communicate, you can ask. And maybe you need some practice asking.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, these things are in front of you, whether it's a relationship or it's a door that once was closed, or the door's always been open, you just didn't see it. And so
True.
the communication.
You couldn't see it from where you were at.
Nope. And you're clouded. And two, to go to your point, which is, how did you start? Or sometimes it's really hard and you get nervous. So when you're in the gym, the same thing, you don't know what to do, so you get out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think, again, you just have to decide, and then you have to ask people for help.
Yeah.
And
And I think also to add what you're saying, because you keep making light bulbs go off, it's just about taking the actions. And I think the less important we make our feelings about how we feel about doing something, because the feelings are what I have used to not make the phone call.
short term and emotional.
Yeah. And the feelings that I feel about something, when I do it despite how I feel about it, that's when I grow, that's when I expand. Even speaking in front of audiences, that's not what I do. And I get nervous, just like we were saying, you know, like the test kind of a thing. But every time I do it, it's like you say, I've grown myself, I achieved, I went through a hurdle and made it out on the other side better because of it.
So I heard this, somebody said, preparation and perspiration go together.
I love it.
Because you're anxious and you're freaked out, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm a little sweaty.
Right, exactly.
And then you're like, oh, can I pull it together? Can I pull it together? That's preparation, and that's those habits. Now you rely on, in spite of how nervous or anxious you are, now you rely on.
Right.
So to go back to the initial thing was, have I always had it? Have
Yeah.
I always had that drive? Well, I will tell you this, when I was told that you cannot get to the next level and in flight school, I was in my flight suit, I storm raided into the women's bathroom, and I just broke down. I mean, I was, and actually the first thing that I thought of wasn't my failure, it was how disappointed
everyone
my dad
else
was
is
going to
be.
And all of a sudden that actually helped me to then say, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks,
That's
it only matters what I think.
Right.
And if I keep living in this place where I failed at something, then I'm going to continually be stuck. On the physical side of things, I can run, I can lift weights. I'm that challenge person. And I was a ballerina for a long time.
Wow.
So I'm long and lanky and not naturally like muscular and whatnot. So I had to work again.
You should check this chick out. She's amazing.
But I had to work at that. And so again, that was something that was important to me. Here's something that I think is important too. Most people focus on their strengths and they make them so much better and they get really strong, and then this is what ends up happening.
Yeah.
So if doing and working 14 hours is one of your strengths, but then communicating isn't so great, what happens to your spouse? What happens to your family life?
Right.
And so that's another thing where I feel like people, you've heard the stories and books have been written. My family suffered because I sacrificed the time to grow and build something. And actually to then be able to give back to them and make their lives better, but potentially they didn't have the mindset. And that's
why you have to get everybody on the same page.
Which
so everyone's
you guys do great.
in working with, this is the goal, this is what we're doing.
So talk about that. What do you do to be parallel and or even co-joined with Grant? Because that's probably, you guys are different.
Yeah, very different.
And that's probably not always
it's what you were talking about, the strengths and the weaknesses. Like, we complement each other very well because my strengths are a little bit of his weaknesses, and my weaknesses are definitely his strengths.
Right.
So we figured that out, and we've learned how to have each other's back and who does what. So we know our roles really well.
Oh, see, I loved when you presented that at 10X.
You did, because that's the roles, because before we figured out our roles, we were vying for the same position and attacking each other all the time, you know, and because we wanted to be the boss I couldn't let up that control. I had come from, nobody told me what to do. I'd never been in a serious relationship before. And whenever I was and I didn't like it, it was bye-bye. You know, I'm out of here.
I can very much relate to that too.
So.
But I think you also mentioned something at 10X, which I think was incredibly powerful if you were listening correctly. I think women have roles. I really do. And I think that they need to get on the same page and they need to communicate, and vice versa. Men have roles as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, you were attacking each other because potentially either you didn't know your role yet or you didn't respect it.
Right.
And so if you don't talk about that stuff.
It's also like, okay, we have and I'm going back to what we were talking about before we started the show, but in our marriage, we have a traditional kind of relationship because Grant is good at business naturally and I naturally am not. It would take me years to figure out and learn and do all of his training basically to even get to the level where he is. But there were things that I could do naturally and artistically because I was an actress. I know how to do things. I know how to observe people. I know how to make things beautiful. I know how to make spaces calm. I know how to keep the PR in. I know how to run background operations, which is all stuff he doesn't do very well. So traditionally, we have a very, man-woman role where I run the family. However, I have seen it where, like, I have a very good friend. She's an artist, but she does all these sculptures. Her husband was an architect, but her business, she became so famous and well known now, he gave up his architect career to go be around and do all the shows, and he sets up and he does all the invoices and all the stuff that she's not good at, and they work as a team, but he kind of does what I do, but for her, and they have it worked out. So I'm not the person to say women can only do this.
Oh, agreed, totally.
It's whatever your thing is.
Absolutely.
But the thing that I like that we were talking about earlier is that we heard men generally like to be taken care of by a woman. And that's something I fought in the beginning of my relationship with Grant. I didn't even want to cook him a meal. I was like, you are disrespecting me. Until I actually thought about how you just said, where you were in flight school and you were disappointed about your father, thinking about what he was going to think. The only reason I ever could cook Grant a meal is when I got over in my head that I am letting every woman down, and like, I don't even know who they were. They're imaginary women. At least you had a real person. that if I cooked him a meal, somehow I was going to maintain my dignity. And then I was like, what am I doing? This is crazy. I can't cook my husband a meal? Like,
Absolutely.
where does that come from? And do you think it's hard for women, or do you think they resent it if they, like cooking a meal? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I do, because now we're getting into that. Either you believe it or you don't. Either you want to assume it, like take control. Like, for instance, why can't you be empowered by taking control of that? And this is what I've had to work through too, because I'm sometimes like, it's right here. And they're like, where is it? I don't see it.
Oh,
and you're
yeah,
like,
I have to
go
do
right
everything.
and then straight forward. It's in the third drawer behind everything.
Yes,
so
yes. I gotta do everything.
I gotta drop that and let that go, because that's petty and that wastes
here's
time
the thing.
too.
Here's one of the things that really helped me.
Okay.
We're a team. When I finally figured out Grant and I have such a purpose and a mission that is so big and so unattainable, and we're a team, the man-woman roles seem like garbage. It's who does what better, and I will do whatever it takes to get whatever mission accomplished. So if I have to, and it drove me insane that every couple of weeks we had to go on a search to look for his credit cards because they were in some pants somewhere. And I'm thinking, why do I have to do this? You lost the damn visa. You go find it.
I know that. I know that well.
But until I realized, you know what? I can find it faster, and it gets him back on track and gets his attention back on the big deals rather than where's my visa. Okay, so I'm running and I'm doing it. I used to hate it. Now I don't hate it so much.
Well, and that's probably because you decided to do it. You got through your own, like you said, issues, that mental block where you're like, what do all these fake women think of me?
Like I'm not going to just be the woman that runs all your errands and does everything for you at the drop of a dime.
So listen, because this is how I just connected what you said. But aren't you building an empire?
Yes.
Yeah. And aren't you an inspiration to a lot of other women?
Hopefully.
Are they now looking at you rather than you looking at these imaginary women?
That's interesting. You just kind of gave me goosebumps.
So I told you, you impacted me significantly at 10X. So, so one thing in regards to believing what other people think, and then I want to say a couple things about Entrepreneur MD. Why do you think you're so wrapped up and why are people so wrapped up and consumed? Because this is what clicked for me when I failed.
Okay, what?
Because I failed multiple times.
People love this.
When I failed in flight school and I didn't get to do what I had been prepping myself for my whole life, my father was amazing service member. He wasn't just amazing at flying planes. He wasn't just amazing at doing other
so he was in the
things.
military too.
He retired as a captain. So
oh, wow.
when I thought I was going to disappoint him, this is where it clicked because I had failed at something. And ultimately my dad that was not at all his thing. Actually, he said, you know what? You're going to be better at something else.
Wow.
Not this, maybe at one point down your life, you're going to figure out why you didn't do this, why this path wasn't for you. And so I really want to push everybody to shift from it being like, oh, I'm not good enough and people are going to judge me and this is terrible. And because here's what it was for me. My whole life I had been driven by, this is what I used to tell everybody. In the military and especially in the aviation community, they are truly comrades. They have this unique culture. They have everybody's back and they party. They love to party and they just show up at your house and it's like a green light and they've got beer and they've got chips and they've got hot dogs and you're like,
we're doing this
I'm
whether
in my
you want to or not. Yeah.
So this is what I remember. I remember a couple service members that they were aviators that asked me, so little girl, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to drink beer and fly planes just like my dad.
Oh.
So when I had been prepping my whole life and I had been flying before flight school and I had been doing all this stuff and then couldn't get through a damn test to be able to fly, I was like, oh my God, my world has come crashing down. And as soon as he confidently discussed with me that not today, but someday you're going to understand why this didn't work out for you and you are going to be better at something else. And then sure enough, this was interesting because this is where it clicked. I didn't have a resume. I was ROTC in college. I was on a scholarship. I knew exactly what I was doing. I got this seat as an aviator to be able to go down and train. I didn't have a resume because I didn't need one. So then I left Pensacola and I get back to a place that I was comfortable in and I'm like, I don't really have any experience. I mean, I crush waiting tables and I'm an athlete.
That was so much experience. That's such a great story.
But that doesn't translate to somebody, listen to this. So this is what I think, and this is what empowered me about being an entrepreneur. And I started because I got into contract work and I got into 1099s, which, by the way, was really hard because I was 100% commission-based. So I had to work. I was a bartender on Friday, Saturday nights at a huge.
You got all the beer you wanted.
Well, that's true, but I don't like beer. So, but I got all the tips I wanted. I busted my ass and I took care of people, and I showed them that I was the boss. And that's what entrepreneurship is to me, is that nobody judges me to then say you're worth this or you're worth that. I get to work and I get to expand.
That's freedom.
And I get to help other people do the same thing.
Right.
Because if they're working for me and with me, they got the same mindset. That's the same kind of people that you want to attract and be around.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden you guys are feeding off each other and you're encouraging them to get better, not capping them at a place. And so that's what clicked for me, was entrepreneurship was a better route for me, which I never would have gotten in the military.
Right.
I would have been time consumed. I would have been deployed. I would have been on a ship somewhere. I would have potentially been in for 10 years or maybe even 20. And so
I know. And you wouldn't have changed that life for this life, right?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe when I was 45 getting out, I would have said, okay, now I got to start something else. But the big thing is that obviously, why do you let people judge you and then react to that judgment when you know you're better than for something else?
Right.
And also, the decision needs to be made. And
I love that.
Then you ask, and then so for me, as I was a 1099 and I was working to pay my rent and my car payment by something that wasn't going to be what I ended up doing, but I just knew that I was going to do something else. But it wasn't until those opportunities presented, and then I was surrounded
that you could see them.
Yes, but then as my 1099 contract work, they weren't capped. And that's the other thing. So this is what I was going to say is that bosses, when you hand them that resume and you go like this and you're sitting there and you're super nervous and you need to be interviewed, they're judging what your worth is. Not you putting your worth out there and making your worth work for you. So that was why, Entrepreneur MD was created too, because we knew people were struggling, didn't know what to do, needed to get in the right mindset. Health is so important. I love the way that I look, and I know a lot of people are like,
you look fantastic.
Looks don't matter. They do. That first appearance, that first judgment, I don't care what anybody says. Human beings are judgmental.
Yeah.
And they naturally want to find their pack and their herd.
I know. And you want to pretend like you want to be high and noble. Right. Like me. But that's the case also in relationships, when one or both let themselves go in a relationship, and then you lose that attraction. It's like, I don't want to be married to my buddy. I want to be attracted to the person that I fell in love with. And it takes a responsible person to want to maintain that and not just rest on their laurels. Oh, now that we got married, they have to love me the way I am. No, they have to love you the way you are. But when you were in the beginning, you can't hoodwink? Is that what it's called? Like where you blind
bamboozle?
them? Yeah, you can't bamboozle someone and say, look, I'm this in shape person, and they think they're with a motivated person like themselves, and then 5 years into the relationship, you're lazy, you don't want to work out, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. It's like, what is that? You have to grow together, and you have to keep yourself on that treadmill of life improvement forever. But the thing that, before we wrap up here, that I wanted to say, that I love what you said earlier as a little recap, that most people work on their strengths and continue to do that, but also figure out how to work on your weaknesses.
Right.
Because you got into the communication thing, you made a decision, you turned your life around little by doing little things. It doesn't have to be hard. It's make your bed, like you said, in the morning. Make your bed. Do little actions where you feel good that you did something. I don't care what it is. I don't eat dessert when I go out with my friends. And then you don't do it. You feel stronger. And it was little. And it's the combination of those little things that bring you to greatness. It's not, maybe it can be one catastrophic event, but those only happen that make you better. Those only happen every once in a blue moon. The Olympics only happens once every 4 years. So, it's just like you're either creating an empire or destroying one with every action that you do. So if you're constantly throwing little pebbles at yourself, one pebble at a time, before you know it, you're going to keel over and die.
So find the people that are going to be able to help you little by little get to the next level. Maybe they're a little better at you. And so that's what Entrepreneur MD really wants to do is, okay, let's take away the time issue.
And then tell me also how they can find this, or if
it's
women
super easy. It's entrepreneurmd.com, which
entrepreneurmd.com, and then they can sign up and get on the program.
you can find more information, and then you can not wait and buy now and get access to the portal, which then, I mean, even stop throwing pebbles at yourself. Even if you want to take one little teeny step, get into the gym and say, okay, I'm really nervous. Hey, I'm already sweating, which I'm going to be sweaty in here, so that's great. And then combine like a little teeny workout. For legs, do 3 exercises. We tell you how to do it. We show you how to do it on a video, and we talk you through how to do it as well.
So great.
Then you have a little win.
See, my excuse is they didn't have that back in the day.
Yeah.
But now you really don't have excuses,
No.
because everyone's got a computer, everybody's got a phone. Can you access it from the phone?
Yes, you can absolutely access it from the phone. And who doesn't plug their earbuds or their cord in to listen to this while they're in the gym? Okay, well, listen to what we're telling you on how to work out. And no one would even know that you didn't know what you were doing.
Right.
They think you were listening to music.
That's true. And you know what? No, the thing that I got is no one's even really looking at you anyway. They're too concerned that everyone's looking at them. And they're too insecure about their own little things too.
Absolutely.
It's just like silly.
Here's my encouragement to you. When I see people that are out of shape, let's just say that, and they're in the gym, you can even ask him. I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
I am so inspired.
I look at them and judge them to say they made a decision.
I'm so glad you said that, because I work out now, you know,
I do.
At this
She kicks
this real like MMA gym where there's professional fighters who have won titles, and some of them are famous now, you know. I figured this out. But anyway, I told Diego, the person that inspires me the most in that gym is, she's probably this close to 70-year-old lady, and she has a trainer, and she goes in every day. I say, Diego, that's what inspires me. Of all the people here, yes, that's what I say. I'm like, if she can show up every single day, I can too.
You probably think of her too, and you're like, I don't want to go.
I know, and then I think she's going to be in there. You know, she's pushing more weights than me. Anyway, I wanted to thank you so. Okay, so they go to entrepreneurmd.com, and you can sign up there. I loved.
Thank you.
Hearing from you, that was so inspiring.
I love
to so amazing. I feel like I haven't even touched on the surface of like all the dynamics or everything that you have going on. I mean, I forgot about the military thing. I mean, and you know how I feel about the military.
Absolutely. That's why I have tears when I watch stories or when I watch feeds or whatever. 9/11. I was like, when I wrote my post, I even typed in 2011, because obviously the 0 is next to the 1, and I had tears running. I couldn't even see it. One of my girlfriends texted me and said, you might want to change that. And I was like, oh crap. I was going back to try to change the post. But anyway, I am honored to be here. I'm so glad that you...
I know. She just showed up at the office today, and I said, sit down, we're doing a show. And that's so great, too, that you can just be so spontaneous and in the moment and willing to help others. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for watching Women Empowerment.